Hi, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to this channel. And what I'm going to be showing us in this video is a very important concept in Power BI in DAX. And what is that concept? The concept of calculate. What is calculate? Is it a function? How do we use it? What are the several scenarios we can use it? How does it work? What are the examples? The typical examples you are going to be using it. All these questions I'm going to be answering in the next couple of minutes. Okay, let's go. So what is calculate? Calculate evaluate an expression in a context modified by filters. So what do I mean? Normally in our Power BI or DAX, we know that if I have a table like this, I have a region, I have a sales. In this particular scenario, the filter context working on this table is what? Is region, which means that automatically without even writing any sum if, like we do in Excel, Power BI DAX is going to give us, it's going to filter the cells based on region. So for Northeast, it filters the sum of cells. For Southeast, it filters the sum of cells. For South-South, it filters the sum of cells. For Southwest, it filters the sum of cells. And it gave us the aggregation, which is sum. So therefore, we can say that on this particular cells at this particular time, the filter context is based on region, the different regions that we have in this table. Again, when we go to this example, we can see now that this is a matrix. We have rows, we have columns. At this particular scenario, the filter context is going to be based on purchase channel and the year, which means that for this particular figure, what we are going to have is that 2014 and mobile app is the filter context working on it, and so on and so forth. So the calculations we want to be doing in DAX, they are not limited to these simple aggregations. They are not limited to that. We have a lot of other calculations which we can do. In order to be able to fully express ourselves with explicit measures, we are going to be making use of calculate. Calculate allows us to do what? Evaluate an expression in a context modified by filters. What do I mean by that? What we mean by that is that if we look at this table again, we can see the context, the filter context at this particular time is region. If I need something else to appear in this column, in the next column after sales, maybe the sales of Northeast alone, or the grand total, I want it to appear like this, then I need to do something. It means I have to modify with the filter context. That is the previous filter context is a region. I need to modify it to a new one. Because, for example, this Northeast sales alone, we don't have a direct access to it as a measure. This grand sales total, we don't have a direct access to it as a measure, which means for me to have an access to it, for me to use it for any kind of calculation I want to use it for, I need to modify the existing filter context to a new one. So, and that is what I want to show us now. For this particular scenario, what we can see now is that we have sales of Northeast. For me to be able to find this Northeast, it means I have to modify the filter context so that it doesn't filter again. When it sees Southeast, we can see the sales of Northeast. In South-South, we have the sales of Northeast. In Southwest, we have the sales of Northeast, which means the filter context has been modified from what? From Southeast to Northeast, South-South to Northeast, South-South to Northeast again. We have completely modified the what? The filter context. Another example, again, is in this particular scenario. We have the grand sales, the sales for our region. What do we have in this particular scenario? Again, I calculate, it's evaluate an expression in a context modified by filters. So in this particular scenario, we have the grand total. We can see now that is appearing in all the rows, which means that we are modifying the current filter context to a new one that aggregates all. It doesn't check any filter. It sums all the rows without any filter. So that when we have this, I can now do sales divided by sales region to be able to get my what? Percentage sales for each particular region. And that is about calculate. Again, How does calculate work? It has some rules. It evaluates an expression in a context modified by filters. So it is executed in an evaluation context, which contains a filter context. That filter context can contain one or more row contests, which is the original what? Context. And another thing we need to know is that when we use calculate, we have a previous filter context. You need to what? Create a new filter that is going to use to evaluate the expression. So what I'm saying is that in this particular scenario, for me to be able to do this, I have to create a new filter context. We know that the existing filter context is on each of the regions. So I need to create a new filter context that is going to aggregate, that is going to sum all the regions for me. And that is what this sentence is saying over here. Again, when we have calculate, it's very important and powerful function. We use it to modify the filter context coming from your visuals. So the filter coming from our visuals, it can be rows. It can be a row. We see now, in this particular case, we have a row filter context. We can also have a column filter context. We can have a filter, like a slicer. So a filter context can be also coming from there. So which means that if you have a filter context, if you have a slicer in your visual, in your Power BI reports, and you want it to do something else different from what the slicer is showing, you need to modify what? The existing filter context. So, and any other kind of visual, whether it's a bar chart, a column chart, a line chart, they can have an existing what? Filter context. We are only using a table as an example here to quickly drive home the point. So what is the expression? What is the syntax for calculate? So our expression that we want to aggregate, that we want to sum, that we want to find a new filter context. So for this particular scenario that we were talking over here, our expression is going to be sum of sales. It's going to be sum of sales. Then we have a filter, which means that when we want to create a new filter, we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new filters. We want to modify it. When you modify something, you need to create a new one. So your new one can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3. It all depends on your choice on what you want to achieve. So calculate, it accepts 3 kinds of arguments. One expression that will be evaluated in a new filter context, which is our expression. It is always the first argument. Then we have to have a set of explicit filter arguments that manipulate the original filter context. So what I'm saying is this filter one is going to what? Modify the existing filter context that we have, like region, like yes, which I have mentioned earlier. And that is about calculate. It also sets a calculate modifiers that can change the model or the structure of the original filter context by removing some filters or altering the relationships architecture. So in this particular scenario that we have region, sales, and northeast, what is the syntax for the calculate function going to be? So it is going to be something like this. Sales statist, we have calculate, sales is our expression, and the region is equals to northeast is going to be what? It's going to be our new filter. It's going to be our new filter. Then again, in this particular scenario where we have the sales for the region, is going to have all region as our new filter. This sales is going to be what? Our expression. Then we have the modifier. This modifies the existing filter that is based on what? On each of the regions. And that is about calculate. We also have some other examples. If you have a column for discounts, we know some of the discounts can be 0, no discount at all. Then we can have some discount in some products. We want to calculate the sum of discounted sales. Then we are going to have an expression like this, which means that I calculate the filter over here. It can accept a logical expression. We can have a logical expression over here, which is greater than 0. It can be less than 0. It can be equal to anything that we want, which we are going to see later. So we want sum of sales for items priced above 500. We are going to have something like this. F order, unit price, the field greater than 500. Then it's going to sum it for you. So it's not going to sum everything based on the previous filter context that you have. So when you have for technology also, let's say you have a sales category called technology for some products, then this is going to be the what? Tech sales. And this sales over here is going to be an expression, and this is going to be your what? Your new filter. And that is that about calculate. In my next video, I'm going to be showing us in DAX, in Power BI, how we write DAX expressions as explicit measures on how to answer some of the questions we have over here. Join me in my next video. If you have benefited from this video, kindly like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much.